Celebrity. I want to go back a little bit. Let's have the next slide. This is the first artist celebrity. Here he is on TV on let's see, What's My Mind, which was a famous TV program in the 1950s. And then, next image, then we have the guy who loved celebrity and became a celebrity. Andy Warhol, the next image. And started a magazine called Interview, which was filled with interviews with celebrities. You have the next image. Then you have the rise in the 50s and 60s of celebrity magazines. People, the National Enquirer, all those things that feed the idea of celebrity. Next image. Then you have the arrival of the exhibition as a celebrity exhibition. A pharaoh, you know, only pharaoh with a tomb, a celebrity pharaoh, and his gold. Next image. So museums try to keep doing this with more celebrities until they becomes a celebrity. Next image. A crazy guy who does bright colors. As long as you don't have to deal with it, it's wonderful. And then you come to where we live, Los Angeles, where huge amounts of money are paid for films and for celebrities. Transformer 3, probably over $200 million. Probably made $70 million last year, or maybe a little less. Compare that to the Mocha budget of $14 million, you get the picture in terms of money. Next image. Okay? Wait. New York museum directors come to Los Angeles and go Hollywood and get to work and get to know movie stars and work with them. Next image. Every Dodge comes to town. Does he put on gold chains as a previous contemporary curator did and do great art shows? No. His first show is a celebrity who made art kind of from time to time. Dennis Hopper, next image. Basically, a colleague and a friend of mine basically went into the show. The galleries were empty. Everybody was back in the back looking at clips from Easy Rider. There you go, James Franco. You don't have to years becoming an artist or years really getting to know his life to be a curator, do things, to be an instant curator. James Franco doing his show. Next image, please. Only briefly, an object can be a celebrity as well. I'm not going to talk about whether it's art or not, but you know, this was a parade. It wasn't the Rose Parade, it was still a parade of a celebrity. Next image. Now, we know what's happening next at Mocha. The fact of the matter is, it is going down the hole. And the reality is that basically, if you do this, can we have the next image, please, which is the last image, or if you do photographs by her, the fact of the matter is, if the money gets spent on a rock, $10 million, how much did this extended time cost with 60 programs all over Southern California? $10 million. If you do the James Francos and the Dennis Hoppers and this nice lady here, Drew Barrymore, then there is less space to do exhibitions of artists who basically spend their life learning how to make their art. You do not do curators who basically spend their life trying to become good curators. Basically, it is no longer the Museum of Contemporary Art, it is the Museum of Celebrity Art, or it is the Museum of Celebrity Culture, MOC.
I'm going home with a bottle of vodka. Jay, thank you so much. Paige, Felslin, thanks, ladies. All right, so this topic alone cracks me up, and I'm thrilled to be up here talking about it today. So I was thinking about like, okay, ethics and aesthetics and things like that. So, so I went to the American Association of Museums website, and I thought, I'm gonna check out, they've gotta have a code of ethics. So the American Association of Museums encourages museums to, put on shows that enable people to explore collections for inspiration, learning, and enjoyment. Okay. And then I think about where we are. We're in Los Angeles. I mean, look at what, California was founded on to begin with. I mean, this land was settled by gold diggers and film industry people. Who do we think we are? I mean, there's a little dreamer alive and kicking in all of us. So in hunting around a little bit, I read a quote that Deitch let loose with shortly before he arrived in LA. And he said, biggest misconception about contemporary art is that it's inaccessible. Part of my agenda has been to support art that engages life with people. And I thought, now whatever, I'm on the Deitch yo-yo just like everyone else in this town. But when I read about that, to support arts that engage life with people or people with life, I thought, y'all bless, brother. That's important to me. That it's oftentimes, it's like, yes, it's an object, but where is that object taking you? I'd also like to point out in Deitch's defense, at the Art in the Streets press preview, he came out and compared works in the exhibition to Cubism, Constructivism, Dadaism, and Surrealism. So he was placing the exhibition within the greater art historical canon. I mean, he didn't come right out and say, check out all this cool shit that they were letting loose with in the 1970s. But I had a lot of strong feelings about the Art of the Street show before I saw the show. I'm human, and where did Matt go? He took his bottle and left. I'm a Pisces, man. I feel really deeply. If anyone anywhere is feeling anything, I'm feeling it too. It's been pretty heavy since 2009. I'm running a commercial art gallery in Los Angeles, for profit. Never mind just like break even. It's been heavy, and more recently, I've become a big fan of cheap, easy thrills. I know. If I learned something along the way, fantastic. But it's more of an experiential learner. I have so much admiration for your career and your MA. I dropped out of my art history graduate program because I got on the tour bus, man. I met some rockers, and I learned a lot. So the bottom line is tough here. Now I want to now I want to get to maybe an actual point in my debate here, and that is museums, they need people through the door. It was like they need these numbers coming in. Are you kidding me?
Okay, next.
I think
Save that part.
I think the main thing is basically, which was the point of the crazy guy who did the bright colors and so forth and so on. There are other ways to get people through the door. I agree with you about the street art show. The only problem with that show was that it wasn't out on the street. Or at least none of it was on the street. And there was a better show in San Diego that was on the street, at least a lot of it was. But basically, the challenge is to get them in the door with things that are really worth looking at. That basically honors the fact that it takes decades for an artist to really do what they do well. If they're worth their salt, it does. And so that's really the challenge. It's a challenge that folk is punting now. When they did the street art show, they weren't, but they're punting. And my concern is there are 3 major institutions in this town. If one of them just starts doing celebrity culture, or, then you have less options for people who really have done the work and deserve recognition. And that's, I guess, one of my major points. If that goes, which it looks like it is more and more, which I don't understand, but it is, then there's less options for us to really see really interesting, important, provocative art, rather than things that are more about, celebrity culture. Even Institute 54, which I never got in, but it still was more about celebrity than anything else. Because that's fine. Never going.
We have 2 minutes.
All right, 2 minutes. So I'm getting back to the attendance point. Yes, the attendance is important, and the Art in the Street show brought people in 4.5 months. Now, you did bring up a really good point about, if we have an institution in Los Angeles that is more or less, completely focused on pop culture, I feel like, maybe that's all right. People want choices, and look good. Jack Goldstein. So I couldn't believe Jack Goldstein got bumped for Dennis Hopper. Although, and I had a very good time at the Dennis Hopper opening too. More along the lines of human connections. But if you want to check that show, it's going to Orange County. I guess, and now I'm just going to be really kind of like human about the whole thing, is that, the last couple of years have been so challenging economically, emotionally, spiritually, that I almost see what MoCA is doing, and maybe LACMA with the Tim Burton show as well, as being really socially responsible and maybe morally responsible, because they're providing a venue for people to come together and let loose. We're doing that here too. There are people out there catching a little blue eyes buzz out there. I know someone wants dancing later. So, yeah, that's what I'm coming in under.
Okay.
Final statement.
Everyone, well, do you guys want to go to the final statement, or do you have one
I just
more
think
minute?
the final statement is, what they did the Warhol show, okay, it was not 200,000 people, but it was a lot, because I remember it was like 70,000 people. So the fact of the matter is, you can still bring people through the door. And I'm not disagreeing about the quality of the street show, although we wanted more out on the street. But basically, I still think the goal is to show people who spend their life doing art in a museum and work out the challenges, work out art where you can do that. And that's, I guess, my final 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up. I really think in closing, I just like to say there's a lot of healing to be had in a good time. There are plenty of institutions in the Los Angeles area that are still keeping it on the straight and narrow academic. And I appreciate those shows. The Women in Surrealism show at LACMA blew my mind, and I learned so much. I learned more in that exhibition than I did during the entire Pacific Standard Time. Brouhaha. And maybe we shouldn't be so quick to judge, so we get these people through the door. Art in the Streets, just coming back to it, brought in a lot of, children and youth, and artinfo.com said, there were more blacks and Hispanics, and, they came in to see the street art show than ever before. And let that,
Go ahead. No, I think, yeah,